Hello everyone, welcome to today's session on Goods and Service Tax filings. Today we are going to learn about the e-invoicing under GST. So e-invoicing under GST is an electronic invoicing system designed to streamline and standardize the B2B, that is business to business invoices, and certain other documents in India. It involves generating invoices electronically, authenticating them with the invoice registration portal IPR, and assigning a unique invoice reference number, that is IRN, and a QR code to each such invoices. This system aims to improve the compliance, reduce errors, and curb tax evasion within the GST framework. So, e-invoicing is enabled under Rule 48 of the CGST rules. The government introduced it in phased manner, initially for businesses with turnover exceeding rupees 500 crores were required to generate e-invoice. This was up to October 2020. Then later it expanded and brought down the threshold limit to 100 crores, then 50 crores, then 20 crores and 10 crores, and finally from August 1st 2023 it is mandatory for those taxpayers whose turnover has exceeded rupees 5 crores, and any non-compliance to generation of e-invoice leads to invalidation of the invoice and the invoice is invalid. Also, in case of non-generation of e-invoice, ITC may also be denied. So moving ahead, how is e-invoicing different from regular invoicing? So in traditional invoicing, businesses typically generated invoices using their accounting software or even manually. These details then needed to be manually entered into the GST portal for filing of GSTR1 return. After the introduction of e-invoicing, businesses continue to generate invoices using their existing software, that is ERP or any other accounting software. However, these invoices must adhere to the standardized format, that is the schema of the e-invoicing, and include specific mandatory fields. The crucial difference is that these invoices are then uploaded to the IRP, that is the invoice registration portal, and the portal validates the invoices and generates a unique IRN number and a QR code. This process automates the data flow, eliminates manual data entry for GSTR1 and facilitates the e-way bill generation. So what are the key components of an e-invoice? Document type code. It specifies if it's an invoice, credit note or a debit note. Then supplier and recipient's details, that is the legal name, GSTIN, address, place, state code and PIN code for both the parties. Then invoice details, unique document number, that is the IRN number, date of issue, then transaction value, HSN code, quantity, rate, assessable value, GST rate, tax amount, that is IGST, CGST and SGST or UTGST, and the total invoice value. Then the shipping and dispatch details. If different from supplier or recipient address, then shipping and dispatch details are also mandatory. Then invoice reference number, a unique 64-character hash generated by the IRP for each invoice. So this 64-character hash value is generated by the IRP portal upon the uploading of invoice. Then QR code, it is generated by the IRP portal containing key invoice details for easy verification by a barcode scanner. Now let us see the applicability of e-invoicing. So first of all, the applicability depends on the turnover criteria. E-invoicing is mandatory for businesses whose aggregate annual turnover, that is AATO, exceeds rupees 5 crores in any preceding financial year from 2017-18 onwards. So an important point to note here is that if the turnover has exceeded rupees 5 crores during any year, that is from 2017 to 18 onwards, then e-invoicing shall be applicable. That means turnover of the preceding financial year is not the criteria, but turnover from financial year 2017-18 till date is the criteria for applicability of e-invoicing. So the average annual turnover includes turnover across all GSTIN registered under a single PAN. So multiple GSTIN within the state or in different states must be clubbed to check this eligibility. Next is the type of transaction covered. So all the B2B, that is business to business supplies, including supplies to registered person with different GSTIN under the same PAN. Then exports, including deemed exports, supplies to special economic zones and excluding the SEZ units themselves. Such transactions are covered under e-invoicing rules. Then what transactions are not covered? B2C, that is business to consumer transactions are not covered. So B2C transactions are generally not covered, although businesses with average annual turnover above 500 crore may need to generate dynamic QR codes for B2C invoices for easy verification. Import transactions are also not covered under e-invoicing. Then there are certain exemptions. Certain businesses are exempt, such as insurers, banking companies, financial institutions including NBFCs, goods transport agencies, supplier of passenger transportation services and services of admission to exhibition of cinematographic films and productions in multiplexes. So these are the exclusions from e-invoicing. Next, let us see how does e-invoice work. So invoice generation is the first process. The taxpayer generates the invoices using their accounting or ERP software, ensuring it complies with the e-invoice schema and includes all the mandatory fields. So from time to time, the schemas get updated and is available at the GST portal. So the taxpayer must keep updating the schema and should not use the old schemas. So next is the IRN generation. The invoice data, specifically the mandatory fields, is uploaded to the invoice registration portal. Then the portal validates the invoice. So the IRP validation is the next step. The IRP validates the invoice details, checks for duplication and generates a unique IRN based on parameters like seller's GSTIN, invoice number, financial year and document type. So any error or duplication in these data will lead to non-validation or validation failure of invoices. Next is QR code and digital signature. So the IRP generates a QR code, digitally signs the invoice and creates an output file in the format JSON. We call it JSON file. Next is the receipt and auto population. So the supplier receives the authenticated e-invoice with the IRN and QR code. The IRP automatically sends this data to the GST portal for GSTR1 auto population and the e-way bill portal if e-way bill is applicable. So this is how e-invoicing is generated and the data is shared with the e-invoicing portal and GST portal and e-way bill generation portal. So moving ahead, what are the common mistakes and what are the legal implications? Wrong document type selected at the time of generating e-invoice, then not using updated software or updated version of schema, then duplicate IRN generation attempt also leads to non-validation of the invoices. Then manual changes after IRN is generated at the time of verification, there will be mismatch, and missing QR code on the printed invoice also leads to invalidation of the e-invoice. Then what are the legal consequences? Without IRN, the invoice is treated as invalid. So once the invoice is declared as invalid, the implications will be buyer cannot claim the input tax credits against the invoice. Supplier will be liable to pay a penalty under section 122, and section 16(2) ITC is denied if invoices are not valid. So due to non-availability of e-invoice, the invoice is invalid and hence ITC will be denied. Let us take an example of e-invoicing in practice. So ABC Limited, having average annual turnover greater than 5 crores in Mumbai, sells goods to XYZ Private Limited registered in GST of Bangalore. So as per the traditional process, that is before the applicability of e-invoicing, ABC Limited would generate an ABC Limited would generate an invoice using its accounting software. An employee would then manually enter the details into the GSTR1 form on the GST portal. For transporting the goods, ABC Limited or the transporter would manually generate an e-way bill duplicating data entry from the invoice. But after the introduction of e-invoicing process, ABC Limited generates the invoices using their ERP system. The invoice includes all mandatory details such as ABC Limited's GSTIN, XYZ Private Limited's GSTIN, invoice number, date, value, item, description, HSN codes and applicable GST rates. ABC Limited uploads the mandatory details of this invoice to the IRP. The IRP validates the data and generates a unique IRN, example a hash value combining GSTIN, invoice number and financial year. Then the IRP also generates a QR code and digitally signs the invoice data. Afterwards, ABC Limited receives the authenticated e-invoice containing IRN and QR code from the IRP and issue it to XYZ Private Limited. The invoice data is automatically pushed to the GST portal, auto-populating ABC Limited's GSTR1 return and XYZ Private Limited's GSTR2B details. If an e-way bill is required for this transaction, then Part A details are also automatically populated in the e-way bill system, requiring only the Part B, that is the vehicle details, to be added. So this process has significantly streamlined the compliance mechanism and reduced the manual errors. It has also improved the data accuracy as compared to traditional methods. So this brings us to the end of e-invoicing topic. We will see how e-invoices is generated using the utility. So let us now see how e-invoices are generated using the Excel based utility. So this is the e-invoicing system Excel based utility available at the e-invoicing portal. In this sheet, we have to fill up all the mandatory details in order to generate the e-invoices. So first of all, JSON file will be generated by validating this sheet, and afterwards that JSON file will be uploaded on the e-invoicing portal to generate the e-invoice with digital signature and QR code. So here we have to enter the supply type, that is B2B, SEZ with payment of tax, SEZ supplies without payment of tax, export with payment of tax, export without payment of tax, and deemed export. So we have selected B2B transaction. If it falls under the reverse charge mechanism, we have to select yes, or else it will remain no. Then IGST on intrastate transaction, that is on SEZ or EOU unit transaction, this will be selected as yes. For other transactions, it will remain no. Then document details. Here we have to select the type of document, that is tax invoice, credit note or debit note. So e-invoice is not only generated for tax invoice, it will also be generated against all the credit notes and debit notes. Then document number, this is the invoice number. Document date, this is the date of invoice. Afterwards, we have to fill up the buyer details. Here we have to enter the buyer GSTIN number, then buyer legal name, then buyer trade name if any. Then the place of supply, we have to select from the drop down. Buyer address, buyer location, buyer pin code and buyer state. These details will be shared with the eBay bill generation portal to generate the eBay bill. Next, we have to enter the product details. Here, if we have multiple products, we will select multiple columns. So here, serial number, product description, it is not a mandatory field. Is service, if it's a service, we have to select yes, or else it will remain no. So here what we are generating in e-invoice is for a service. Then HSN code, this is the HSN code, or to be more precise, this is the SAC code against the services provisioned. Then quantity, since this is a service, the quantity will remain 0. Units, since there is not an option to select a not applicable parameter, so we have selected others. Then unit price in case of service will remain 0. Then the gross amount against such services, this is the gross amount. Discount if any, pre-tax value, this will be auto calculated, and finally the taxable value. So after taxable value, we have to fill in the GST rate against which SGST, CGST or IGST will be charged. So in this case, SGST and CGST is charged as this is a intra-state transaction. Then there is cess rate and cess amount. Afterwards, we have other charges. If any other charges are to be included in the assessable value. Then item total. Afterwards, we have to fill the value details. So the total taxable value is this one, against which SGST and CGST has been charged. No IGST, no cess and no discount or other charges. So the total invoice value is this amount. So if we fill in any erroneous data in this Excel utility, the error will be available in the error list. So once all the mandatory fields have been properly filled up, we have to validate this sheet. Here we have the validation option. We will click on this validate sheet, and after the sheet is validated, this option, that is prepare JSON file option, will be available. Afterwards, we will click on this prepare JSON file and a JSON will be generated at the desired location. Then this JSON file will be uploaded on the e-invoicing portal to generate the e-invoice. So let us see the output file, that is the e-invoice that has been generated after uploading this JSON file on the e-invoice portal. So this is the e-invoice that has been generated. On the e-invoicing portal. Here we have the GSTIN, then the QR code. If we scan this QR code, we will get all the details of the relevant invoice. This is the 64 character IRN number, acknowledgement number and acknowledgement date. Then the transaction details, supply type, B2B, document number, this is the original invoice number. Then IGST applicable despite supplier and recipient in the same state, that is the IGST on intra state transaction, place of supply, document type and document date. Then party detail, we have supplier details and recipient details individually. Then goods or service details, we have filled in the HSN, then taxable amount, then taxable rates and total amount. This is the signature, that is the e-sign, and this is the final e-invoice that has been generated using the offline Excel utility and by uploading the JSON on the e-invoicing portal. So that's it for this session. Thank you very much.